Let's continue this conversation with Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. Congresswoman, it's always nice to have you. The fall of the Democrat Party has been obvious to anyone who's been watching, especially the victims of left-wingers. Yet there are some in your party who still think it's the 1980s and still think it's JFK's Democrat Party. What do you think is behind the unwillingness or maybe inability of some in the Republican Party to recognize the violent totalitarians that many in the Democrat Party have descended into?
Well, I think coming from New York gives me a unique perspective. I worked with all these people when I served in the state legislature, and I work with them every day. I think that the mentality is a little bit different in upstate New York than it is in downstate. But Chris, the problem is the people that know better, that know that Democrats are embracing a lack of humanity, whether it's extreme positions on abortion, extreme positions like euthanasia, justifying political violence and murder, assassination of Charlie Kirk, for example. You know, people who still have on their Facebook page, is President Trump dead yet? When are we going to have the great, big, beautiful obituary and things like that you see, on Facebook that are tolerated by the left and tolerated by Democrats and even people who I grew up with. How do you have a person like that on your Facebook page who puts out, it's okay to kill the president of the United States. It's okay to assassinate Charlie Kirk, a young man who courageously went out into the community, didn't, hide behind his computer or his phone and engaged with people in what our founders envisioned, the marketplace of ideas, robust debate. He did what they thought we should do. And yet the Democrats will not stand up to these people. Look at Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, both New York City Democrats, cowed by the far left, both hatched out of the New York State Assembly, where I served, never had anything but glowing praise from the left-wing media, so they've never really had to carve out any kind of strong positions or really stand for anything. And now you're seeing their failed leadership on the stage. Hakeem Jeffries trying to bully Mike Lawler, Chuck Schumer getting out and trying to be funny and not really knowing what to do with himself out there, and continuing to laugh and make comments like it's okay. This is going to be good for us, he said, because our soldiers are suffering. Our air traffic controllers aren't able to serve, so people are stuck in airports. People aren't getting paid. Our farmers aren't getting the programs they need to continue. Why is this justified? And it's the violent left that is influencing. Maybe they're afraid of them. But, the other big problem we have, which you can relate to, the elephant in the room, is that we are about to elect a Marxist-derived socialist as the mayor of the largest city in the state of New York and our country. He is going to drive that agenda, which, by the way, drives the agenda in Albany, which is going to make it really difficult, not just for the city, for New York State, for our country, because you're going to embolden the same kind of violent rhetoric, the same kind of inhumane way they talk about globalizing the intifada, talking about, anti-Semitism and all these things that are in a city. I think it's the second largest population of Jewish people. This is really serious, and the Democrats are afraid to do anything about it. And that's what worries me the most. I texted some of my friends on Facebook, this guy's your friend. Really?
Well, Congresswoman, I really think that maybe you ought to have some discussions with Republicans. I earnestly believe the Democrats are making their move. This is what the left has done throughout human history. They have made these moves, and they want to eliminate opposition. They want to eliminate debate. They no longer wish to be Americans, and they are making these moves. And I don't think the Republican Party or what's left of it should be asleep at the wheel. Look, there's some breaking news coming, and I got to get you to comment on. President Trump is posting a 100% additional tariff on communist China. This is in response, of course, to communist China all of a sudden just, going scorched earth with trade globally, not just with the United States, globally making a whole bunch of really crazy moves. I think, now I've been after decoupling from communist China for many, many moons. And I think that maybe China recognizes that the jig is up, and maybe they're trying to cut it off. And that can mean, this could mean the beginning of a new Cold War, could it not?
Yeah, look, this is so important because the only president we have had who has the courage to stand up to communist China, call it what it is, they have a 100-year plan to take over the world. It isn't about, way we just want to work with you and be an adversary or maybe be a trading partner. They want to dominate and control, and they use every means necessary. They don't roll tanks into places. They use their Belt and Road Initiative. They use their trading power. They go to poorer nations, and whether it's Africa, South Africa, or South America, Central America, it's a huge problem. And President Trump is countering this. He's using tariffs, which he has the power to do in an emergency situation, to try to make sure that we protect our supply chains, whether it's the chips, whether it's our really important medications that are serious medications from everything we witnessed during COVID. Holding them accountable for COVID, something the feckless Joe Biden never did, nor did his staff, who really ran everything with the auto pen. This is what is so important right now. No one has stood up to China like President Trump has. I do think that's a main reason why he was reelected against all odds. No one has ever faced the kind of scrutiny and the kind of lawfare, you name everything they've thrown at him, they could possibly throw at him, survived it, and is still a happy warrior. He's out there. I love him yesterday. He's saying, okay, we're going to sign an order on, we're going to keep Columbus Day. There you go, Italians. I love Italians. I love the guy for that. It's just he's not letting the Democrats continue. He just doesn't care. He's talking to us. That's what he's doing.
Yes. Since Reagan, we haven't seen anybody like him since Reagan. The Bushes, the Clintons, Obama, and Biden, they all cobbled together to flush down America's future, selling us out of China. Look, the last thing I got to talk to you about, and I've only got about 45 seconds. The 2025 Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to Maria Corina Machado for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and their struggle to achieve a peaceful transition out of dictatorship and into praise God, a representative democracy. Machado, who is fighting leftists for her people's freedom, dedicated the award in turn to President Trump for his tireless work in supporting those fighting for their freedom in Venezuela. Machado showing, much more class than the Nobel Committee. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. I was the first member of Congress to do this back in 2024 when he was running for office. I filled out the form, by the way. If you want to nominate him, you have to be qualified to do it, and you have to fill the form out. I did it again for the Abraham Accords. I'm going to do it again when the period opens. The window is open, October through January 31st. I urge everyone to do it. But what a great statement that Marina Machado makes to do this, to know that President Trump has made unprecedented steps toward peace in our world and used it with strength, with character. And the Nobel Peace Committee, one of the leaders of it said today, we want to give it to people with courage and with character. They gave this award to Yasser Arafat, who used his position in power to become a billionaire at the expense of the Palestinian people. This is not a person of character and courage. And so for them to say that, I've come up with a new award, actually. I've come out with it. It's the Trump Peace and Prosperity Award, because we can have peace, but if you're not encouraging prosperity, you're not going to continue that peace on earth. And that's exactly what Trump is trying to do in the Middle East and around the world. It's not just about peace. It's prosperity for everyone in the Middle East. All our Arab friends, whether they're Muslims, Christians, or they're Jews, they can live and have prosperity and peace. And that's his vision. And that's why I've expanded. Maybe this would be a more venerable award, a more coveted award, because it's going to actually stand for something, not President Obama making nice speeches from a teleprompter versus President Trump actually taking steps for peace. Just saying.
Yeah, Nobel Peace Prize it's basically a paperweight these days. Obama, Arafat, what's the difference, really? Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, always a pleasure catching up with you.